What's up, Whooper Gang? It's Vice here, and I'm doing a very quick bit here midstream. We're going to talk about the new Pokemon EX mechanic, which is a new but old but new mechanic that they're reintroducing into the game. So let's start with the trailer and just go bit by bit here. And I'll just pause at the relevant moments and we'll talk about it. So we'll start it off. They talked about how they were going to reveal the new major mechanic at Worlds. And there's the new Pokemon, Miraidon and Koraidon. Very cool. And Scarlet and Violet. Oh, that might be a bit loud. But hopefully it's alright. And we see some Pokemon here. Now, first, I want to stop here. The first really important bit to look at is here in the top left-hand corner of the card. You can see that this Lucario is the stage 1 and it evolves from Riolu. It quite clearly shows a Riolu and it says it evolves from Riolu. It's very shadowy and dark on purpose to keep you in the dark. So let's run it a little bit more. So the major mechanic is that the Pokemon evolves. Now have a look at that. Uh-oh, 330 HP. I did not notice that earlier. And down here, you see what the Pokemon EX rule is. So when your Pokemon EX is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prizes. So they are multi-prize Pokemon, and their stats are boosted to match. They're boosted to match. So we know that Magnezone is a stage 2 Pokemon, evolves from you can't really see it, but that's clearly a Magneton. And as we know, Magneton evolves from Magnemite. So this is a stage 2 Pokemon, 330 HP, does big damage. Looks like weakness is still ×2, retreat cost still, par for the course. EX rules. So we've got a Pokemon that has VMAX type stats, but you get a trade-off. There's a trade offer here, right? You have a VMAX tier of stats, but you only give up 2 prizes, but you have to put in the work for it because you have to evolve your Pokemon. Is that going to be worth it? Possibly. Probably. It's probably going to be really good. And I'm looking forward to it, for sure. Everything that I want to talk about with this mechanic, really, you can see it on this one card. And just the fact that we know that the previous card that was shown was a stage 1. So we can tell that, and there was Mimikyu in the group of cards that was demonstrated as well. So, I think what we can glean from this is that Pokemon EX is a type of multi-prize Pokemon which can be a basic or a stage 1 or a stage 2. And so we'll have like evolution rules attached to them. Rare candy will interact with them the same way they do with stage 2 Pokemon in general. This is a really good thing. Really, really good. I was extremely disappointed with tag teams. Extremely disappointed with VMAXs. V-Stars were like a breath of fresh air, but still not exactly what I wanted. They weren't exactly what I wanted, but I was very impressed that they were able to lower uncreep the stats by just going wide on like the card text power instead. So what you have here is we have a return to the part of the game that I think the designers of the game have understood now what people enjoy. They enjoy the part where you evolve Pokemon, you put in the work, you get the reward. The reward is this Magnezone EX, which can do 50 times the number of energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon for 1 energy. And Pulse Launcher looks like it may only be 2 energy, but I think that purposefully, you can't see exactly what the energy requirement is. It might be Colorless Lightning, or it could be an all new type. They might be hiding it a little bit. Let's watch just a little bit. Let's just watch a little bit more. So you can see here, it's kind of hard to see, but it says 260 on the HP for Lucario, and it says 190 on Mimikyu here. So I'm actually really happy with this progression of HP. I think that this is fine. I think what I would have been happier with is if Mimikyu had slightly less HP, Lucario had like the 210 HP range that that something like Zoroark GX had, and then Magnezone had a bit less HP as well, like down to like the 250 range that Pokemon like Solgaleo GX had back in the day. Right? So I think this is fine. I would have liked the HP spread out a bit differently, because I think that there's another unrevealed aspect or unrevealed mechanic at play here. So we'll let it run just a bit more. This is a great way to reveal it. So we see the return of the EX. As you may know, EX is not the first time it's appeared in the card game, and very specifically, it's the lowercase EX. So the very first multi-prize Pokemon in the game, like as a major mechanic, maybe there were other instances of multi-prize Pokemon before EXs, but the original run of them, you had like, I think it was like a Hitmonchan and a Mewtwo. They weren't very good. I think there was a Lapras as well. I think they were like the 3 first EXs. They had the lowercase EX. So it's harkening back to its roots. I think that it's very deliberate that they've used the lowercase EX. It's a signal to say like, hey, we are looking back at the past to inspire and influence and guide the current direction of the game with Scarlet and Violet. And I will tell you now that is a very good thing. It's a very, very good thing. We'll do away with these big chunky VMAXs with 330 HP that get put into play super easy. Now, if your opponent wants to try and beat you down with a 330 HP stable Pokemon, they have to put in as much work as you do with your Pokemon. And if they're wise about the way that they design the single prize Pokemon, as an example, there's going to be a lot more of an even playing field. Right? You think about like trying to play a stage 2 Pokemon now, it is quite difficult at the moment because your opponent can more consistently get Pokemon into play. I'm not saying that you can't play a stage 2 deck right now, but what I'm saying is that you're going to lose a lot more often if you play a stage 2 deck now, because your opponents will set up more frequently, on time, more effectively, more stability, more consistency. It's very difficult for a stage 2 deck to keep up with the pace of the game. This is going to bring the pace of the game right down, and I mean, I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I'm excited. Let's let it rock. Alright, so you see Koraidon and Miraidon. It's lacking certain elements, I think on purpose. You don't see the HP, even though the Mimikyu kind of gives you an idea of what the HP totals are going to look like. You know, if these were basic EXs, I might expect about 200 HP maybe. Maybe a little bit more. You can't see, there's no, it doesn't say that it's basic. It doesn't say. So if we go back to like here, there's that symbol here, right? But if we go to here, it kind of lacks the information to tell you. And you're right there, Fusion in chat. No type symbol. And if you have a look at the wording here, it says attach up to 2 basic something energy cards from your discard pile to your basic something Pokemon. So sit with that for a moment. The new standard coming 2023. And then we see the EX logo in the crystal imagery that has accompanied what the theme has been, like the new gimmick, the new mechanic for Gen 9 VGC, or for the Pokemon video game, which is the terrestrial evolution, where the Pokemon gain empowered stats and abilities and typings. I don't know like the exact the exact details of it, but it's very interesting, right? It's very, very interesting. They aren't putting this final clip in there for no reason. They're not doing it just for flavor. It's there to sort of signal that there is more to this EX mechanic than just being a multi-prize Pokemon that can evolve. That does, at the moment, does less than what the GXs do. Because at least with the GX Pokemon, they had the once per game GX attack. Okay, you could argue that the EXs do bring something different to the table, which is that they offer more HP and damage, which is kind of lame. But then that is what VMAXs did when you think about it. Like, they didn't have any once per game mechanic about them. They just were 3 prize Pokemon. So I could forgive them for designing these EX Pokemon to just be evolving multi-prize Pokemon that have higher HP and stats than their GX counterparts. But it does seem like there's going to be some mechanic that's tied into the video games that they haven't quite revealed yet with the video games, so they probably don't want to reveal it straight away with the new cards. So they've redacted those elements of the cards. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, and we're gonna look at that Magnezone again, because I think it's quite telling. What I really want to know is, are the Pokemon that these evolve from multi-prize Pokemon as well? But I would say the answer is no, right? Because this just says evolves from Riolu. It doesn't say evolves from Riolu EX. So I think we can sign off on that one reasonably safely. We can say with a degree of certainty that it's not going to be a situation where like the Riolu is a V Pokemon and it evolves into the Lucario EX, which is good. That's the way it should be, and I hope it's that way, because then you've also got this opportunity to have branching evolution paths. You could have Riolu evolve into a non-EX and then evolve into the Lucario EX, which is kind of cool. So I think we can sign off on the pre-evolutions being just like GXs, where they're not multi-prize Pokemon themselves. You won't have what you have currently, which is a Pokemon V that evolves into a VMAX or a V-Star, right? That should be the way it is. And I think that there is some mechanic related to typing or something along those lines. I think that's a safe estimate or guess that will tie into the way the EX Pokemon work. Whether they're exclusive to multi-prize Pokemon, don't know. I'm excited about these cards. Really, really good for the game. I really hope that the unrevealed aspects of the cards aren't too demeaning to what these cards represent. I'm happy with their design. 100% happy with their design. I think these are really interesting. It means that V-Stars and V-Maxes aren't completely blown out of the water. They may still be really good into the early life of Scarlet and Violet. Especially Arceus is still going to be really good, but we'll see. The thing with Arceus is that it can't accelerate energy to Pokemon EX. It can only do it to Vs, right? With these cards, I talked about it a little bit a little bit earlier, but I think they are they're very good for the players. The design of these cards, I'm happy with them. I'm happy. If they keep this structure of multi-prize Pokemon being a scaled representation of power, but still representing the same amount of work to get a single prize Pokemon into play, I think that's really good. I think it's going to enable the players that want to be a bit creative. I think that creative is probably an unfair word to use to describe, but maybe just players that want to look for different ways to approach the game and try different Pokemon and things like that. It won't be so bad for them when, you know, in today's game, if you're trying to play your cool Butterfree deck or something, like just pick your random stage 2 deck that you like, and then your opponent goes Arceus V-Star knocks out your Caterpie before you even get to evolve into a Butterfree, right? Whereas with this, they've at least got to land a fairly decent combo before they get, like, immediately get to a VMAX, right? So I think that for casual players or players that like to experiment and try different things, try different cards, offbeat strategies. I'm not going to say off meta, but offbeat strategies. Things are just a bit weird. I think it's much better for the game. And I look forward to 2023. I'll take this over anything that they've given us since Team Up. I'll take this over tag teams. I'll take it over VMAXs, even V-Stars. I like V-Stars. They're a really good idea, but I would take this any day of the week. So I hope you enjoyed my analysis, my look back at it. There are parts that I haven't really touched on because it talks about the EX, specifically use the lowercase EX reference. You have to think back to the mid-2000s, which gave us Delta species. They gave us Pokemon that represented themselves as different types. You have to think that it's gotta tie in something like that with the current crop, because Scarlet and Violet has this new mechanic where Pokemon are able to change types in amongst other things. So we've got lots of things to look forward to. We've been given a lot to consider now, and there's going to be more to come as the cards are eventually finally revealed. So look, I'm a channel that's all about exploring the card game and trying to see what we can do with the cards that this game does give us. If you enjoy that kind of thing, if you enjoy seeing decks that are a little bit off the beaten path, consider liking the video. Maybe subscribe if you're feeling generous, and I'll see you in the next live stream or video. So take care, goodbye, enjoy.